Thank you, Paul, and hello to everybody who is watching on the call. So let me just start off by sharing my screen. And unlike Stuart's presentation, I'm just going to show you our website, because I think our website pretty much tells you exactly what we do. So my name is Paul Lees, as Paul has said. I'm the CEO and founder of Bespin Labs, and we're the creators of Patronum. So Patronum, you can find about the product at patronum.io. And from a features perspective, we do Google Workspace user management. That includes things such as email signature management. We provide contact sharing. We provide on and offboarding of users. All the kind of things that you would want to do within Google Workspace, but just haven't been given the tools to do so. So enough about the website, apart from to say that you can try the product for free. It's free for 30 days, so you can install it in your Google Workspace environment, kick the tires. If it's not for you, there's no salespersons that's going to call. If you have any questions, you can contact ourselves, or you can speak to Paul and his team, and he'd be more than happy to get you to introduce to ourselves, and we can show you a bit more of an in-depth demo than we're going to be doing in this bite-sized chunk of Patronum. So this is the Patronum interface. Hopefully, the first thing that you'll see is that it's very googly. It's been designed using the Google Material Design Framework, which is basically the way that Google creates and designs its products. So we've taken their framework and we've built a management suite on top of that. And within the time that I've got, I'd like to show you a few things that we can do with Patronum just to make your daily administrative tasks a whole lot easier, and also to provide you with some features that you just can't get through the Google Admin Console. So you've typical UK audience, so you're going to know who Gareth Southgate is. US customers that we pitch to have no idea, and if I pitch outside of Europe, we get quite a lot of hissing and booing and all those kind of things. But now we've got in a UK audience, then we can sit back and appreciate the names that we've got in this particular demo. So Gareth is a person that we're going to manage. The information stored in the Google directory is vast. You can store information such as a range of telephone details. Now, you can't get access to this through the Google Admin Console. Google gives you access to about 3 telephone fields. We allow you to expand that. That means that you can utilize things such as our email signature solution to bring down information that's work-related, but still store people's personal telephone details in your internal directory. And as you saw from the previous screen, you can see, you can find, you can look at these details. So we have customers like RSPCA here in the UK. They log into Patronum from a end user perspective to find and search for people in different locations, find when someone started, have a look at the hierarchy, see who reports to who's in my department. All those kind of things can be surfaced through the Google directory. Now, Patronum isn't a product with our own database, and we're not holding any of this information. What we're doing is we're sat over the top of Google Workspace, and we're just presenting you with a means to access the information in Google Workspace and then display it in an attractive way. Across the top here, we've got areas of functionality. I'm not going to go into all of them. I'm just going to stop into some of the areas that people find most useful. So in the contact section, we have the option and the ability to view an individual user's contacts, as well as share contacts on a label by label basis. So think about the scenario where you are in an organization and you want to gain access to somebody else's contacts, but there is no functionality inside of Google to do that. Maybe you've got sales information of clients. Maybe you are an office manager and you would like to share the contact details for the couriers, for the sandwich people. You can then share those details with your colleagues through Patronum, and we'll keep those contacts synchronized. Now, from a management perspective, One of the most frustrating tasks that a lot of people tell us about is when somebody goes on vacation and that individual has forgotten to share a particular file. They've been working on that file themselves. They've then gone away. It's holiday season now. People are coming and going all the time. That file is now locked in their Google Drive. Because of the security of Google, even the administrator through the admin tools cannot gain access to that particular file. Within Patronum, we can see and interact and manage the end user's Google Drive. So we're going above the Google Drive system, using the Google Drive APIs, and then we're querying and showing you the files. So I can then say, well, I need to find a particular image that Gareth was working on. I'm not quite sure which one it was, but if I find the name, I'm sure I'll be able to find it. So I can see this image here. This was the one that he was working on. He's not shared it yet, so I can come into here and I can now share that particular file with other users in the organization. Maybe we want to hand it over to somebody else while Gareth is away. Now, let's say Gareth is on long-term leave. Maybe he's ill or he's on a sabbatical, and he's not going to be logging into the Google system for a while. In that case, we can change the ownership of a particular file. So now we can give the file to somebody else and they now own that particular file. One of the things that we don't do, and we have a very strong belief about this, is we don't give you the ability to view and edit the files themselves. We feel that that's a bit of a breach of privacy. We're a management tool, we're not a snooping tool. So we're going to allow you to get the link, but the only way you're going to be able to access this particular file is if you have granted yourself access. And when you do that, the manager will, the owner, will know about that particular action. They'll see it's fully transparent, it's logged in the Google logs, etc. It's also visible in the logging environment. So you can see here that I've been browsing Gareth's files. So from a security perspective, we know that the files have been accessed and browsed. Now, from a email signature perspective, a lot of organizations have a need to standardize on their email signatures. Patronum allows us to roll out an email signature to every single user in the organization, and we can tailor what each individual email signature would look like. You could have an email signature for your marketing department, you could have an email signature for your sales department, and have a different email signature for the support team. And so you can tailor the email signatures on a case-by-case basis. Now, I'm not going to go into the details as to how we do that. That's done through what we call policies, and that's our automation process. That would take me about an hour of demonstrations in order to show you the power that we've got inside our automation environment. Needless to say, we also support all the other email addresses that an individual user would have. Any send as address that the user can send emails out as can have an email signature. And again, we support those different email signatures. So if you have different brands, different business units, you can have different types of email signatures for those individual users. From a technical perspective, we give you visibility and you can edit, and the templating environment also supports full HTML. I prefer the HTML interface because I'd like to know exactly what's happening with an email signature. But you can edit the email signature on either side. So if you're not a HTML wizard, you can just do it from the GUI side. If you do understand what's going on from a HTML perspective, I always recommend jumping into the HTML and tailoring it exactly and specifically to your requirements. We have the option to do things such as within the settings environment. And again, an area that is commonly requested is delegate access. Traditionally and typically in a Google Workspace environment, in order to gain access to somebody's email, you would have to ask them to log in and then give you delegate access. Again, we can bypass this process by coming into Patronum and then granting access on behalf of the user. So again, in the scenario where Gareth has gone on vacation and an important client has emailed Gareth and is now chasing to find out what's going on with a particular order or a case, you can now provide delegate access into Gareth's account log in using the Google delegation process, and then deal with those particular emails. We can also see who's got access to Gareth's account and who does Gareth have access to. And I can use this blue icon to add additional access here. We also do space management. We have backup solutions, which is an additional product, but we integrate with the backup solution. Now, I'd just like to finish off in an area which is becoming a lot more interesting these days from a security and compliance perspective, and that's file sharing. Now, inside Google Workspace, as you've seen earlier on in this webinar, you have the ability to share documents with partners, suppliers, clients, etc. One of the questions that we're always asked is, how do we control that? How do we stop our users from oversharing those documents? How do we know that a document has been shared with a partner who then turns into a competitor? And if we've got dozens of users in the organization sharing with those organizations, how do we control that? We can't just send an email to everybody to say, we're now no longer working with X, please unshare all those documents that you might have shared with that organization. You just can't see that in the Google Drive environment. And again, that's where Patronum comes into play. So we can have a look and say, well, I'm interested in external access. So who outside my organization has access to the information inside the Google Workspace environment? So I can click on the external access filter here, and given a bit of time, it will then eventually show us the individual users that have access to our environments. Now I can see one here, so I'll just jump through quickly. Let me just stop that and refresh. The benefit of live demos. There we go. So if I now click on Paul, this will now show me all the files that Paul has access to. So Paul's outside our organization, and I can see that Jordan has shared a number of files with Paul. Now, this might be lots of different users. Now, from here, I can unshare those files. I can unshare all the files, or I can come across here to the padlock icon, and I can see the types of files that have been shared and the types of access that Paul has been granted. And I can see that Paul is an editor. Now, maybe the scenario is that we've been working with Paul's business for a number of years, and he's got read access to a lot of our files. Well, maybe we don't need, or he doesn't need read access to those files anymore. So we can now reduce Paul's access to all of those files to just viewer, or any files that he's the editor of, I can just remove, or I can add an expiry date. Got lots of options there on how to manage and control the sharing of your files. And then the last area that I'd like to talk about is the searching. Now, searching allows an administrator to search across the entire Google Drive estate, whether that's a shared drive, whether that's users' My Drives. You can find files based on the name. You can find files based on the file ID. File ID is extremely useful. Now, the users who on the call who have used Google Workspace previously will understand and will know that sometimes you'll be forwarded an email, you'll click on the link, and the computer says no. Google will say you don't have access to this particular file. Please enter the reason why you would like to gain access. That then gets sent off to the owner, and the owner then decides whether or not to grant access or not. Now, if that owner is no longer in the organization, or the owner is on vacation, you're going to have a long wait. That's where you can then contact the administrator, provide the link to that file. They can pop into Patronum, add the link, find the file, and then they can decide to grant you access to that file that you need to access in order to continue your work. As you can see, there's a whole load of features inside of Patronum. And like I say, typically a demo lasts about an hour. I spent the last 15 minutes just going over some of the major bullet points of the product. But if you have any questions or you'd like to have a one-to-one demo, please reach out to Paul, and we can get those scheduled. So with that, I'll stop sharing my screen and hand back to Paul, because I'm really interested to have a look at this Starlight. I saw the original demo with the hardware, so I'm interested to see how far that technology's come.
No problem. Thanks, Paul. That's really appreciated. I would say one other quick thing again. I'll say our test to actually the Patronum product, we actually use it internally as a business, and it's been absolutely brilliant. It manages all of our email signatures. But also the big time saver it does for us is that we have local partnerships with local colleges where we have work experience or work placements come and work in our environment for either a few months or for a year, depending on what type of T-levels or BTECs they're actually doing. What we're allowed to do now is that we can actually put all the students in at the start of the year, which the colleges are allocated to us. And as they start, Patronum automatically creates their accounts for all the students. So we can just do them all at the start of the year. And as they start throughout the year, it creates their account on the day and things, and they're ready to rock and roll for us. So it's really, it's a great product and things. So yeah, I could say to Paul, if people need demonstrations and things, feel free to reach out to us. We could do demos, and we will obviously, Patronum will be actually our event later in the year as well, so people can actually meet Patronum as well. So that's what we're looking forward to as well.